how about my hometown Cleveland Cavaliers? Now, yes, their 15-0 winning streak was snapped Tuesday night at the end of the Boston Celtics in the NBA Cup. But folks, I'm here to tell you the Cavaliers are the most surprising story of the 2024-2025 NBA season. And even at 15-1, as long as this team stays healthy, they are here to stay. And former head coach JB Bickerstaff, in my opinion, should be in jail for what he made the national media and me personally think about this Cleveland Cavaliers team. You guys know I have said the last few years that the Cavs had so much potential. Donovan Mitchell, Darius Garland, Evan Mobley, Jared Allen. Those to me are the core four pieces. But I did not know that Donovan Mitchell, Darius Garland, did not know that backcourt was going to work. Did not believe you can have two 6'1" guards unless you're Golden State because you had Klay Thompson, who was obviously 6'7", and Steph, the two greatest shooters ever in the backcourt, win a championship. But I got to tell you what, Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland, they figured it out. Evan Mobley has sort of played the Draymond Green rule, point forward at times, being way more aggressive under the basket, shooting more three-pointers. Jared Allen has been a menace under the basket. A lot of Cleveland fans wanted to see him gone. I wanted him to stay, and you can see the reason for that. I think Ty Jerome and Karis LeVert off the bench. LeVert, who the last few years has done nothing but dribble the ball off his foot in key situations, is now all of a sudden red hot, along with Ty Jerome, who's leading the second unit. George Niang, who was whopping down the court last year, could barely stand up straight, is making threes in the corner. And this Cleveland team, I think you saw it Tuesday night in the NBA Cup, which is just the stupidest thing ever. I can't stand it. Those courts are so ugly. I mean, the Boston Celtics court Tuesday night looked like a tennis court. It's utterly ridiculous what the NBA is doing with this stupid gimmick to try to get people to watch in the regular season because the NBA is the only sport where ratings are going down as opposed to ratings going up. But nonetheless, Brian Anderson and Sam Van Gundy, they kept talking about this is the most anticipated regular season matchup. No, it's November. I don't care if the teams are, 14-0 versus 14-0. It's November. It really doesn't mean much. Teams change throughout the season. But I will say this, what is sustainable about the Cleveland Cavaliers is the utter fact that they now have Donovan Mitchell, Darius Garland, Evan Mobley, Ty Jerome, George Niang, Sam Merrill. You have all these guys. You can even put LeVert in there. Isaac Okoro, hell, even throw him in there. You have all these guys. You have 8, 9 guys who can constantly just make threes. And even Craig Porter's come in there and done some up duty with Okoro being out with an injury. And this is a team that doesn't even have one of the sharpest three-pointers in the league in Max Strus yet out on the court, which I think will change things dramatically for this team. The Cavs are using that Golden State-esque offense. They are playing with much more pace. They're one of the league leaders in pace, as opposed to being one of the league's worst teams in pace with JB Bickerstaff the past few years. They're using different guys to bring the ball up with Donovan Mitchell. And they're using, in my opinion, not even the Golden State offense. It's also a version of the Mike D'Antoni 7 seconds or less offense, which is we're going to shoot threes or we're going to shoot layups. And again, if we hit 20 threes a game, that's 60 points. Well, if you hit 22s, that's 40. You get to 100 points right there. And when you do that, it's going to be very hard to beat you. Last night, the Cavs were outshot on the 3-point line by about 36 points by the Boston Celtics. They only lost by 3 points. The Celtics, we talked about this last year on their NBA Finals run. Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Al Horford, Drew Holiday, Peyton Pritchard, Derek White. You add Kristaps Porzingis into that mix. They have about 7, 8 guys who can shoot the three. And again, their philosophy is we're going to shoot threes and layups. The mid-range jumper we know analytics doesn't like. What's your name is Kawhi Leonard, who is obviously another LD for the Clippers. But the Celtics are saying we're going to shoot 50 threes a game. If we go 40% from three a game, if we go 20 for 50, we're at 60 points right there based off threes. And you should be able to get 40 points just based off, dunks and layup opportunities for a 48-minute period a game. So that's the new NBA. That's all about math. Again, Boston does not have a super duper star on their team. They have two very good players, in my opinion, in Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, that bounce off each other. Could that be the case with Donovan Mitchell, maybe even a Garland or Mobley? And I think the best part about Cleveland is, I think Mitchell has to be your best player. But that number two on any given night, it could be Garland, it could be Mobley, it even could be Jared Allen occasionally. It does not have to be the same guy. And the Cavs this year, in their 16 games they played, again, they're 15-1 at this point. The reason why I believe this is sustainable, a different Cavalier has led the team in scoring every single game. They have not had a back-to-back game this year where a single player has led them in scoring. So everybody is contributing. The defense, maybe it has taken a slight step back versus Bickerstaff, but they have scored at least 100 points in every single game. Most of the games are putting up 110 to 115 points. Some games are putting up anywhere from 120 to 130 points. They're just blitzing people. They have a very Golden State, and Boston had this quality too, also last year, to where they can put up 40 points in a quarter consistently on you. They feel like they're never out of a ball game. Even in the NBA Cup, Tuesday night, they're down 17 to Boston at halftime, and you look up and midway through the third quarter, it's a 20 something game. And by the start of the fourth quarter, it's a 3, 4 point game. So that's what good teams do. That's what explosive teams do. This is a team that, they just needed the right coach. They needed the right fit. Evan Mobley is starting to become a man. Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell have figured it out. And folks, with the Eastern Conference the way it is right now, with the Sixers being a disaster, Milwaukee being a disaster, Miami always getting off to a slow start, even Orlando now with the loss of Pablo Banchero, Indiana obviously getting off to a slow start. With the Cavs, 5 or 6 games up ahead of everybody in the conference but the Boston Celtics. It is to me clearly right now for the rest of the NBA season a battle between the Cavs and the Celtics for the 1 and 2 seed. And again, the Knicks are good. We talked about it. We'll talk Thibodeau wear that team down in the postseason. Did the Cavs get physical enough? Are they going to learn to get more physical with the likes of Orlando and Indiana and New York? To me, it's very possible. And the way I look at the East right now, it's a two-team race. And if the Cavs and Celtics don't meet in the Eastern Conference Finals, it will be seen as an abject failure by both of these organizations. Speaking of abject failures, let's talk about Joel Embiid and the Philadelphia 76ers. Last year, after the Sixers were eliminated in the first round by the New York Knicks, I came on here and I said, Sixers, the process is over. You already got rid of Ben Simmons. The Joel Embiid era needs to be over. You cannot trust him. And there is a reason why when the Sixers acquired Paul George, I said, I don't care. I don't think the Sixers are a top 3 seed in the East. I think they're barely going to make the play tournament, and they may not be a playoff team. And Nick Nurse, who I really liked, he managed that Kawhi Leonard season in Toronto when they won the NBA championship in 2019. I don't really think it's his fault, though Tyrese Maxey and the Sixers held basically a team meeting where Maxey called out Embiid, he called out Nick Nurse, wanted the team to be more accountable, called out Joel Embiid, basically telling him he's late to every meeting, does not play back to back. Joel Embiid is already snippy with the media. Like, it's just time. And I tried to defend Joel Embiid for years. I tried to say he was the best center in basketball, better than Nikola Jokic. And after that 2023 NBA Finals run, Nikola Jokic proved me wrong. And ever since, Joel Embiid has been more hurt, if it's even possible. This Sixers team is a complete disaster. I think Tyrese Maxey is a great leader. And I think Paul George wanted to come to Philly just to get out of the Kawhi Leonard circus. Now he's entered in another circus with Joel Embiid. And if I'm Paul George, I'm saying I'm not dealing with this crap. Um, you know, I don't think the Sixers need to blow it up per se. Again, I like Nick Nurse's coach. I think Tyrese Maxey is a decent number two right now who could eventually turn into a number one that you could build around. I think Paul George as a third on a championship team absolutely works. I don't know how you're going to find that number one, or if Maxey becomes that one, I don't know how you're going to find that reliable number two. But I think it's time to have serious conversations. I thought you should have done it in the off season, but this season is going nowhere. And just like Milwaukee, who I think does need to have serious conversations about moving on from Giannis and completely blowing up that team because they age quick and they're old. Philadelphia's got a lot of young, nice players. They just need to get healthy and they need a foundational piece to build around. And if you make that decision that your foundational piece to build around is Tyrese Maxey, there's no point in having Joel Embiid on your roster. I think you need to move them to a team who maybe is right there, maybe a team like I don't even know, a New Orleans or something like that that has depth. I would not want to see him, with the Lakers or even the Clippers or one of these older teams, even a Golden State. I don't think he'd fit. Maybe you move him to a bad team like a Brooklyn that just needs players to sell tickets. Like, I don't know. Joel Embiid is such a fascinating human. When he is on the court and healthy, he can be a top five player in the sport on any given night. But he's never had the best work ethic. He's always sick. He's always hurt. And really, the Sixers' best chance to win a championship, you can make the argument, was the 2019 team with Jimmy Butler when Kawhi Leonard bounced around the rim in Game 7, or that 2021 team when Ben Simmons refused to shoot the layup. Sixers went down in a Game 7 in their house to Trae Young and the Atlanta Hawks. At that point, I said, that's it. The year is over. The Sixers will never get back. I've been right on that. And this team meeting is never a good sign. I mean, what did they start? 2-11. Um, they're already 9 games under 500. The Cavs are 15-1, so they're already 8 games back of Cleveland for even the number one seed. So they have no chance, in my opinion, at that. They're 5 games back of Boston for the 2 seed. They have no chance at that because Joel Embiid is not going to play every single game for the rest of the year, if he does come back. So, in my opinion, this team is going down the train tracks fast. Just like in Cleveland, how the Browns had to be bad. Cleveland had to sacrifice them for the Guardians and the Cavs to be really good. Maybe Philadelphia had to sacrifice the Sixers for the Phillies and the Eagles, which I think Philadelphia would trade that. It's a big football and baseball town more than it is basketball town. But if Joel Embiid does not make the Eastern Conference Finals in his tenure with the Sixers, they would have basically wasted the last 10 years of the franchise. Trust the process was all about getting bad draft picks, turning them into superstars, and eventually winning. They got Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid out of trusting the process, and Ben Simmons went sideways quickly, could not shoot a basketball, and all of a sudden Joel Embiid steps on the court, and you're worried about him tearing his ACL. So, this Sixers team is lost. They're a disaster. I don't know where they go from here. And for all intents and purposes, I think you need to trade Joel Embiid. You need to get back as much as you can, not only in terms of players, maybe young players like Brooklyn got the last year when they made the Evan Durant move and Miles Bridges to Phoenix, something like that. In the Bridges, obviously in New York now, you need to get some piece to build around, and move forward because this is not working anymore. Like that clip from the Brandsworth podcast? If so, make sure you go down there and hit that subscribe button. While you're down there hitting the subscribe button, make sure to also hit the notification bell so you never miss another upload. And make sure you check out all the other clips from the Brandsworth podcast right here on YouTube.